Hello and welcome to another Get On With Maths video. In today's video, in our Gradu8 series, we're going to have a look at factorising quadratics. So what I'd like you to do is have a go at the 8 questions around your screen, make sure you pause the video, and when you think you're ready to go through these, unpause the video, and then I'll go through the answers to each of the following. Good luck, pause the video now. Okay. If you're listening to me now, hopefully you've unpaused the video, you're ready to go through each of these. So before we start then, it's important to point out that when we're factorising, we're thinking about pulling things back into the brackets, and we're doing quadratics because you've got these squared here, okay? And there's a general sort of rule or a trick that we can use that makes these a little bit easier. So if we take this first example up here, you've got x squared plus 8x plus 15, okay, and you can see that these are all laid out in a very similar fashion. You've got your x squared, then you've got your amount of x, and then you've got your number on the end. So when you're doing these, what I want you to do is to think about the factors of each numbers, hence the word factorise. So to start with, I want you to think about what numbers multiply together to make 15. Now what I'm going to do on the side here is I'm just going to make a little list of them. So essentially I'm listing out its factors. So obviously you've got 1 and 15, because 1 times 15 is 15. And you've got 3 and 5, because 3 times 5 is 15. What you need to do now is consult your list here, and then have a look to see which of these pairs of numbers add together to make this number here. So 1 and 15 is going to obviously give us 16, but 3 and 5 is going to give us 8. So let's just go through that. These two numbers here times together to make this, 3 times 5 is 15, and they add together to make this, because 3 add 5 is 8. So what I'm going to do then, in the bracket, I'm going to have an x, and this is a badly drawn x, but there it is, and I'm going to take my first one, that's a positive 3, and then I'm going to do my second bracket with another x, and that's going to be positive 5. Okay, so just to go through that, you looked at a number that times together to make this, and then same pair of numbers that add together to make this. We've got an x in both brackets, because if I were to multiply this out, I want to give myself an x squared. Now, if you've got a chance now, what you could do is just pause the video really quickly, and just have a go expanding these double brackets. If you haven't seen that before, obviously go back and look at our video on it, but it should be really simple to do. What you can do when you've done that is double check, and you should get this as your answer. So that's how it works. So let's apply the same rule to this one over here then. So I want to know numbers that times together to make 6 and add together to make 15. So again, I would make a little list. So you've got 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and already you're looking at that and going, well, 2 and 3 added together is 5. So in your brackets again, you've got x add 2, sorry for the badly drawn, and then you've got x add 3. Okay, so it's really simple. Again, expand it out to double check that answer and make sure you've got the right thing. Okay, so let's move on to the next example up here. Okay, so some slightly larger numbers now. So with 60 then, I'm just going to make a list. Obviously I've got 1 and 60. I can always start with that. And obviously if you spot it halfway through, then that's absolutely fine. Obviously this isn't spotting it halfway through. 12 and 5, so you just list out factors. That's why it's so important to know those basics in maths to make sure that we've got them at all possible opportunities. Aha! So 3 times 20 is 60. Remember, this is our timesing one. What adds together to make 23x? Well, it's these two. So you're going to have x add 3 in one bracket and x add 20 in the other. Okay, if, just as I'm writing this one, if you cast your eye down to the next question, you'll notice something slightly different about it. So if we keep our rule from before, you're looking at numbers that times together to make this, and they add together to make this. But what's different about this number here? Well, this time you've got a minus 6. So I want you to think carefully about which numbers multiply together to make minus 6. So I'll show you. You've got 1, and then you've got negative 6. And in the same sort of frame of mind for that, you've got negative 1, and then positive 6. Look how the negatives are just on different numbers. So if we follow that pattern through then, you've got 2, and then negative 3, and then you've got negative 2 and positive 3, because remember a negative times a positive is a negative. So those are the numbers that times together to make minus 6. I'm looking for any of these that add together to make positive 5. So let's have a look at that. 1 adds negative 6 is going to take me to negative 5. Well, that's no good, I want positive. But negative 1 adds 6 takes me up to normal 5. And you could check these, but obviously they're not going to do it. So I have x minus 1 in one bracket, and then x plus, and that's the awful drawing again there, plus 6. So x minus 1 and x plus 6. You will have drawn it a lot better than me. Okay, so similar problem over here then. We've got another negative here, and remember we're looking to times on this one, add on this one. So numbers at times together to make minus 33. So I'm going to have 1 and minus 33. I'm going to have minus 1 and 33. I'm then going to have minus 3 and 11. And in the same breath then, I'm going to have 3 and minus 11. Okay, which one of these here adds together to make positive 8? Well, that's not going to work, is it? It's going to give me minus 32. That's going to give me positive 32. Minus 3, add 11. That is going to take me up to 8. So I've got x minus 3, goes a bracket, and then I've got x plus 11. And like I said, all through those earlier examples, at any point in these, at any point at all, you can just expand your brackets and check your answer. Okay, so to speed these up then, let's just look down here. So you've got x squared plus 2x minus 35. Remember, we're timesing on these, and we're adding to make these. To save me writing them out, so just listen really carefully. If you're making minus 35, you've got 1 and minus 35, minus 1 and 35, minus 5 and 7, positive 5 and negative 7. So for this one, I'm going to use x, and then I'm going to have minus 5, and then x positive 7. So x positive 7. Okay, and just look at those. Positive 7 minus 5 times is to make this one. Minus 5 add 7 adds to make this one. Really, really simple. If I move to this one then, slightly different. You've got a negative here and a negative here, but just keep our rules in mind. So you're adding on this one, timesing on this one. I am going to just list them again for this one, just so you can see it a little bit more clearly. So you've got 1 and minus 21. You've got minus 1 and normal 21. You've got minus 3 and 7. And you've got 3 and minus 7. You're looking at which one of these pairs adds together to make minus 4. So this is going to make minus 20. This is going to make normal 20. This would make positive 4. And finally, this one is going to make negative 4. So you're going to have in brackets x plus 3 and then x minus 7. Close the brackets there. Right, so we move on to our final question now, and I reckon you've all probably figured this one out already. You've got your negatives and your negatives again. So you could have 1 and minus 55. You could have minus 1 and normal 55. Normal 5 and minus 11. Or minus 5 and normal 11. And so, what you're going to find is you're going to have x plus 5 and then x minus 11. Okay, and just double check it. 5 and minus 11 is minus 55. And if I'm at plus 5 and I take away 11, I get to minus 6. So that's why that one works. Right guys, lots to take in on that video. I recommend, if you're not sure about any of these, going back and having a look at our Factorise video, but also having a look at our expanding double brackets. Just before I finish though, a quick question that I always get. People ask me, does it matter which way I put these around? Well no, for this question, if you wrote x minus 11 in brackets and then x plus 5, that would be absolutely fine. But if you get the signs wrong, so for this question here, if you put minus 5 and then plus 11, you would get the question wrong, okay? Because when you expanded it back out, your negatives and your positives would change, and that would be a different expression altogether. So go back through, have a little look, just remember that rule. Timesing to make this one, adding to make this one. Check out the other videos in our Gradu8 series, guys, and thanks for watching.